Hello, Indian Creek 8th grade social studies students. This is Mrs. Stirk again, and I am back today to talk to you about America's road to war, how they went from a position of neutrality to then joining the Allies in World War I. And as you can see, that's the question for you to be thinking about as we go through this section. So America started off neutral, but we'll find out that they were not impartial. President Wilson and many other Americans supported neutrality. They thought that is over in Europe. It is not our problem. They have all these ancient rivalries between all of them, and why do we need to get involved? In fact, in the New York Sun, an editorial published, quote, "There is nothing reasonable in such a war, and it would be foolish for the country to sacrifice itself to the policies and clash of ancient hatreds which is urging the old world to destruction." However, people did quickly begin to take sides. There are many immigrants and relatives of immigrants who sided with their country of origin, because remember, America is made up of people who came to America to get a fresh start. They're from all over Europe, and many of them are of British descent. So many Americans favored the Allies, and especially Great Britain. There were very strong ties to Great Britain. So since America wanted to stay neutral, both sides, both the Central Powers and the Allies, used propaganda to try to persuade the Americans to join their cause. And propaganda is information that is designed to persuade. Instead of being unbiased, like what we want our information to be when we're doing research or when we're reading the news, this is definitely biased. It is designed to sway to your way of thinking or to one opinion or another. So even though both the Allies and the Central Powers used propaganda, the Allies were more effective at it, especially because we were already feeling sympathetic toward Great Britain. So now let's look at the early relationships that we had with the Allies. On the one hand, we've got this poster here that says, "Peace on earth, goodwill to men." And this is Uncle Sam, and he's saying, "Oh, I'm neutral. I'm all for peace. I don't want to get involved." But then on the other side, he is selling ammunition, and he's also selling supplies and loaning money to the Allies. And that's really a good picture of what's going on here. Here we have a flowchart that goes through the relationship that the USA had with the Allies and then how it developed into a less neutral situation for the Americans. At first, the USA was neutral, and as a neutral nation, they wanted to trade with both the Allies and the Central Powers. However, there was a little problem because there was the British blockade of Germany. So, they can't. So instead of being sad about it, they just trade with the Allies. The trade with the Allies soars, goes way up. Then the USA lends money to Britain and France. And as you know, if you put your money somewhere and you're investing in something, then you're going to be much more interested in how that something does. If I buy stock in a company, then I'm going to want that company to do well. If the USA is lending money to Britain and France, do they want Britain and France to win? Yes, they sure do. So then, as a result of all of those things, Germany is not happy because they're saying, hey, look, you guys said you're neutral, but you're not neutral because you are helping our enemies. You're helping the Allies. As a result, we have submarine warfare, which the Germans had the U-boats, which is short for Unterseeboot, which is German for undersea boat or submarine. And we're going to learn about the Lusitania, which was a big debacle that sort of got America started with being even more involved. Germany says, we are going to sink ships in British ports. We're warning you now, we're sinking the ships in British ports. So then the Lusitania, which was a passenger ship, and the captain incidentally was all, oh no, everybody's perfectly safe, it'll be fine, we're a passenger ship and we don't have any weapons on board. And it was attacked on May 7th, 1915. A U-boat torpedoed this passenger ship. It sank in 15 minutes, which is very fast and not enough time to get people off of the boat. Over 1,000 people died. And the USA got very angry. And here is a political cartoon showing that here's the Lusitania, it's sinking, and this is a German soldier, and here's Uncle Sam being really PO'd. Look at that. He looks scary. We don't want to mess with Uncle Sam. Incidentally, they actually were transporting weapons on the Lusitania, so there it is. Then we have Wilson. President Wilson runs for re-election, and guess what his slogan is? It's, he kept us out of war. And he wins because people really do have these anti-war feelings and they don't want to get involved. But they're realizing more and more that the United States does need to be prepared in case. Things are heating up. We've got the U-boats that are attacking. So in order to be protected and ready, Wilson persuades Congress to double the Army and to spend money to build new ships. Now this is starting to sound to some people like, hey, if we're neutral, why are we spending all this money on our military? And starting to make people feel a little antsy. And as you can see, the title of this next section is End of Neutrality. So guess what's going to happen? Well, the next thing on the list after the Lusitania problem is the Zimmermann telegram. And this brings the U.S. to the brink of war. Germany goes and says again, we will sink all merchant vessels going to Allied ports. I don't care if they're armed or not, we are going to sink them. Then a telegram sent by Zimmermann was intercepted by Great Britain. In it, the German Foreign Minister Zimmermann is writing to the Mexican government, and he promises in this telegram to give Mexico the land that they had lost to the United States in the Mexican War. So Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, they say, oh, guess what? If you help us, then we're going to get you your land back. And for some reason, Germany decided to send this telegram Western Union. So naturally, the office for that was in London. Oops, and it was intercepted. So guess what? Great Britain right away makes this public to the United States. And it was published, and then everybody could find that out. Because guess what? Great Britain really wants the United States to get mad so that they do enter the war. And that's sure enough, that's what happens. The USA gets very angry about this. How could you not? I mean, look at this sinister character offering money to the Mexican government and promising this land. This is a very sinister looking propaganda poster. And if you can't tell, I'm trying to show you all kinds of examples of propaganda posters. There might be something in your future involving propaganda posters. Okay, so next on the list we have that the USA does declare war. Now, how does that happen? Well, meanwhile, back in Russia, they are having a revolution. They were part of the Allies and trying to fight the Central Powers, but then they have their own mess at home. They're having a revolution, and they say, hey, we're going to have a democracy with free elections, which, guess what? It doesn't last very long at all. But that's what they say. So then this gives President Wilson the platform that he wants to be able to say, hey, this war is now democracy versus autocracy. It's governments run by the people versus these top-down governments that are oppressing people. This is a just war. We should get involved. And he urges Congress to join the war in order to keep the world safe for democracy. So, on April 2nd, 1917, Congress declares war. Now we've got another problem, because America, who's been neutral, who wasn't planning on being in the war, oh, now all of a sudden we got to get ready really quickly. So they passed the Selective Service Act in order to raise the Army quickly, and they established a military draft. That is where you sign up with the Selective Service, and everybody still, all the males need to sign up with the Selective Service when you turn 18 in case there is a draft. And this makes it so that there are volunteers, but that if we need more people than who are volunteering, there can be a draft. Also, women can enlist as well in non-combat work. In this war, as in the Civil War, minorities were able to join, but they were discriminated against. Surprise! It's very sad, but it did still happen. And that is the end of all that. So let's recap. Why did the USA join World War I? Well, on one hand, we had the sinking of the Lusitania and just lots of unrestricted German submarine warfare, that they kept attacking their ships and their passenger boats, and there couldn't be trade going on back and forth. Then we had the Zimmermann telegram was intercepted by Great Britain, which said that, hey, Mexico, if you join us, then we'll give you back the land that Americans stole from you. Then we had the fall of the Tsarist regimes, which is their monarchy in Russia, and that made it so that it could be a war about democracy and freedom and would give people a more moral platform to stand on, so Wilson felt more comfortable being able to say, hey, now this is a war that we need to fight because it will make democracy safe in the world. And a fourth point for why the United States joined World War I was that at this point they had loaned billions of dollars to Britain and France. And, you know, follow the money. When in doubt, follow the money. So they had invested lots of money. They wanted to see a return on their investment. It was very important then for them to win that war, for Britain and France to win the war. And things really weren't going very well at the time. So, thank you for watching our video, and we hope you enjoyed it. See you in just a little bit for the next section on America in the war. Thank you very much.